Alright, decided to go live right quick, talk about this Showtime Boxing on my way to work. So, I'll get a couple of minutes in to do this stream right quick. So, yeah, I'll just talk about the card in general and stuff. Like, for the most part, you know, for the most part, I'm cool. I ain't got no problem with the card. Hey, what's going on? What's up? And I ain't one of these dudes that sit up here worry about the ratings, because I want everybody else to, worry. You know what I'm saying? I'm not worried about no ratings and none of that stuff, because that ain't my thing. So I can go comparing this company to that company. I could care less what the ratings are, to be honest with you. So I just talk about it and that's it. But yeah, before I start, I got a chance to see the Cecilia Brækhus fight with McCaskill, and I really think it's time to let women fight 3-minute rounds. I don't know why they fight 2 minutes of every round, because you just cannot get a clear indication on these fights and how to score them, because one, they're only 2 minutes, and I don't know why they have it to where women can't fight 3 minutes. I just don't understand that. But I seen the actual fight. The actual fight, it was pretty solid. It was, it was a pretty good fight. Don't have no problem either way with who won the fight. It was a real close fight. You could have went either way. Now, it wasn't like that Rolly fight, which I'll get to that in a minute. I'm definitely going to talk about Rolly. What's up? I'm definitely going to talk about Rolly, and I like Rolly. Rolly is a cool dude, but at the end of the day, he didn't win that fight, and I'll tell you why. But yeah, when I got to see Cecilia Brækhus fight, and I know a lot of people had stuff to say about her because she didn't want to make a fight with, Carissa Shields. At the end of the day, Cecilia Brækhus, she a legend. She a legend, and that's just the bottom line. She will be a Hall of Fame fighter. She went, for real, look how many fights she went without losing a fight. That was only her first loss at age 38. It's not the end of the world. You win some, you lose some. And for people to sit up there, some people to say her career was a joke. Come on, man. What's up? Yeah, to say that her career is failed because she lost a fight. She lost a close fight. There is a such thing as a rematch. It wasn't like she just got beat from pillar to post. It was a majority decision. When people say majority decisions, when the final card is read, it have how the judges scored it. Even though if you want to go by judges, because we already know judges are not accurate, because sometimes you wonder what the judges are looking at, which I'm going to talk about that in a Rolly video. It was a majority decision. Okay? One judge had it even, and 2 other judges had the other person winning. So yeah, her career, Cecilia Brækhus' career is not over. What she done in her career is amazing. At the end of the day, the reason why the Carissa Shields fight couldn't happen, because, she a welterweight. And I don't think it's a good idea for Carissa Shields to keep moving down all these weight classes and stuff. And some people just don't want to go up and weight. Marvin Hagler is one of the greatest fighters that ever lived. Marvin Hagler never went up in weight. If you can fight multiple weight classes, then more power to you. If you can't, you can't. And I don't hold it against her because she didn't fight Carissa Shields. I mean, it is what it is. Like I say all the time, it's just some fights that just ain't never gonna get made. Now, I don't like the idea of damn near every fight that you clamoring for don't get made, and that's what's going on right now. That's just real talk. What's going on now compared to what happened, what would happen back then, it's just different. Most of the time we got the fights we wanted, but now out of the top 10 fights that could get made, if you lucky, maybe 3 of them get made. No Canelo Charlo, no Canelo Demetrius Andrade. Just too many different fights that could get made, not get made. We can't get Bud versus certain people. We can't, I mean, for real, no Bud Pacquiao. It's looking like Kell Brook is gonna pull out of the fight again. So, I mean, at the end of the day, this just go on a lot, and that's the problem. We sitting up here imagining fights get made versus fights actually get made. Where back then, in the 80s to 90s, most fights that we wanted to get made got made. So, I mean, it is what it is. But shout out to Cecilia. All right, so let me talk about the first fight, and then I'm gonna move on to Rolly, and then I'm gonna move on to David Benavidez. As you guys know, Trevor Kaufman, he got stopped. Well, they called it a technical knockout basically because he had some kind of injury to Alo Wallin. But at the end of the day, the inevitable was on his way to happen anyway. He was gonna lose the fight anyway, because if you look at the fight, Alo Wallin was basically starting to take command of the fight. So it's not like, well, if he would have been able to continue, he would have had a chance to win that fight. You already could tell where this fight was going. It just looked like Alo Wallin was going to basically cruise to a unanimous decision or maybe a late stoppage. And that's pretty much it. You know, he had a hand injury and he was a one-handed fighter. The referee just pulled the trigger. And that was pretty much it. That was pretty much it. Now, do Alo Wallin deserve to be put in the mix of the heavyweights? Well, a lot of people thought that he should have got a decision against Tyson Fury, that he should have won a technical TKO, because basically he busted up Tyson Fury and they refused to stop the fight. And Tyson Fury was bleeding out of his mind, but we already knew they wasn't going to stop the fight because we already knew what was at stake. So basically they was like, unless Tyson Fury get knocked unconscious, you not stopping this fight. But in reality, his name, you can put his name in the hat. Yeah, you can put his name in the hat for real. So put his name in the hat. Hey, what's up, Mark? Yeah, definitely put Alo Wallin's name in the hat as a credible opponent for some of these other guys out there. So I'm gonna leave it at that. So let me move on to the 2 most important subjects right quick before I get off. Okay, got to talk about the Rolly fight. And of course I had to take a shot at Oscar De La Hoya, because Oscar De La Hoya's tweet was blatant hypocrisy about him having the audacity to say, well, see, that's the problem, the politics of boxing. And Oscar, we already know Oscar been the beneficiary of several politics in boxing, and he's been on the satisfactory end of politics that go along with boxing. Like people say, You know, like people say, boxing is a business. It's a popularity contest. But Rolly didn't win that fight. He didn't win that fight, and he know he did. He know he didn't win that fight. And then the typical excuse that a lot of these fighters make when they get a gift decision, they say the dude didn't want to engage, and he kept backing up. No, dude stood in front of Rolly like pretty much all night. Rolly just couldn't hit him. The art of boxing is to hit and not get hit. I wish people would understand that. I wish people would understand the art of boxing is to hit and not get hit. If somebody swings and attempts to throw a punch at you, you are supposed to get out the way. You are not supposed to stand there and let the dude land a punch on you. It's about who lands the most punches or who looks the best landing their punches. And that's really how boxing works for the most part. But Rolly, no, he didn't win that fight. Dude clearly outboxed him. He got outboxed. And I was just trying to be nice. I saw the fight again, and I was just trying to be nice by saying dude won the fight 7 rounds to 5, but it was more like 9-3. And if you want to be generous, you could say maybe 8-4. But Rolly got outboxed. Rolly was extending too hard. He was throwing punches and he was clearly out of reach. He didn't know how to use his, for real. He didn't, 118. And then he didn't know how to use his, for real. He didn't know how to measure the distance and see how, man. You seen glimpse that Rolly could improve. But it's really up to him. And you always wonder about those kind of guys like Rolly. You always wonder about those kind of guys like Rolly who fall in love with their power, and then when they get to a fight with a dude that they can't get rid of, then they just sort of be like, okay, now what? You should always train, even when you train a fighter that got heavy hands, you should always train a fighter to box first and to go for the knockout if it presents itself. Because a lot of times you could get knocked out trying to knock somebody out. And I'm gonna tell you right now, after what I saw yesterday, I don't think at this point, I don't think he could beat Ryan Garcia unless he lands something big. I don't think he could beat Ryan Garcia. I don't think he could beat Tank. I don't think he could beat none of those dudes. I definitely don't think he could beat Devin. But I don't even think that Floyd would even make that. I don't even think Floyd would make that fight. And see, the problem is with Rolly, it would have been better for him to have lost the fight, and then his corner was sitting up there to him saying, yeah, man, you winning the fight. When they should have said, hey, man, you need to do this, you need to do that. And the dude that was working his corner, he just wasn't giving him good advice. He should have been like, okay, just stick the jab, man. Just try the jab. You're not going to knock this dude out of there. Try to use the jab. Just jab to the body. Try to get on the inside, hit him with body shots. But no, he telling them, you winning the fight. He telling him, you winning the fight. And he know he wasn't winning the fight. So sometimes your corner can be of a disservice to you too. Come on, man. dude, don't come here with that, bro. Don't tell me what to talk about, bro. I'm not. I'm critiquing. That's what I'm doing. If I sit up there and say, dude, see, that's the problem, dude. I'm not finna pacify nobody. Rolly is cool. I'm just saying he can make improvements. I saw a couple of glimpses in the fight where he could, if he really focused on boxing, he could become a solid boxer. Rolly was swinging for the fences too much. He was loading up, and it got to the point to where dude saw everything that was coming. And all he did was he would turn Rolly, and then he would clip him. It ain't got nothing to do with him being Cuban. I ain't trying to hear that shit. He didn't have a good outing, and he's. Nah, he wasn't trying to be like Canelo or Floyd. He was just a dude that was strictly going in there. He thought he could knock him out. He went in there. He went in there clubbing. He thought he could knock the dude out. And when he couldn't knock the dude out, and I already knew by the time round 4 came around, I said, if Rolly don't get this dude out of here, he gonna have a problem on his hands. And a lot of times in boxing, even when I said this on several occasions, you can have out an as boxer where you win and you still look bad. Even when you win, you still want to try to improve. But like I said, his corner did him a disservice by saying, man, you winning. And he wasn't really giving him no good advice. If I was, Rolly should train that the way he fight. He should be one of them dudes. They should train him to be like a dude where he try to like on defense, trying to get inside and trying to attack the body and break an opponent down. Because like I said before, he got predictable after the 4th round, and all dude did was just turn him. And then he would get off first, he would reset, and he would come back in. Man, he only tried to use that shoulder roll like maybe 1 round. Stop it. He only tried to use that shoulder roll like 1 round. Stop it. Don't even try it here. And Floyd ain't his primary, and that's another thing. Let me explain something to you. Floyd is his primary trainer. I know that dude with the dreads. That's the dude that really trained him. I've been to that gym. I done talked to that dude several times. That's his primary trainer. Floyd only work with like Rolly like every once in a while. Like he may have one day where he'll work with Rolly, and that's or a couple of hours. Like I said, Rolly got so predictable in that fight. It was just like, okay, dude is just picking him off. One thing about a brawler or a clubber, it's easy to stop their momentum. Okay, so like when they lounge towards you and they don't know how to measure the distance and you out of harm's way, you just move you shift from side to side, and then you come in, you can hit them with a counter, and then you can clinch them. Once in a while, like he'd try to rally, but then he would just be so far, he would just, when he depart, roll the let's just say it like one space. But the other dude, he looking better executing his offense. He looks better executing his game plan. Rolly's game plan was to go in there and knock him out. Rolly's game plan was to go in there and knock dude out, and that was pretty much it. Thing about boxing that people got to be aware of, and this is like the biggest misconception about boxing, is the whole power thing. You don't want to get built as a fighter like just strictly relying on power. Basically being like a one-trick pony. You don't want to be built as a dude like, oh man, if he land that hand, that left hook is over and all that type of shit. Well, guess what? People gonna prepare for that. If people gonna prepare for that left hook, are people gonna prepare for that straight left, are people gonna prepare for that uppercut? See, the thing about Lennox Lewis was the true definition of a boxer puncher. Lennox Lewis could box your ears off, but at the same time, he can end your shit with one punch. And that's the problem. If I had a fighter that could hit hard, that had like freakish power, I still would build him as a boxer. Because keep in mind, a lot of these fighters like the smell of their own shit. Well, you keep telling them, yeah, you gonna knock them out. Yeah, you a knockout artist. You a knockout artist. Well, what happens? They just focus on knockouts. How many times have you seen this happen to people? Where they so focused and predicated on getting a knockout, and then when they get that opponent that they can't knock out, then guess what? They sort of collapse. So you don't never want to train a boxer to be a knockout artist. If the knockout comes, then fine. But you don't want to be predicated on trying to promote a fighter as a knockout. Yeah, it looks good. It looks good. And to a certain degree, it could possibly sell tickets, well, depending on who you are. I mean, it can sell tickets. But like I said, how many people have you seen this happen to where they were strictly built off of knockouts and not boxing? Because at the end of the day, they have rounds. That's why they call it rounds. You fight rounds. The goal is to fight for 3 minutes of however rounds that is sanctioned, and then try to finish those rounds. And like I said, whoever wins the most rounds, in all likelihood, win the fight. But there is an opportunity you could end the fight early if you hurt the dude and land something significant. And that's what people don't understand. They have rounds for reasons. You don't fight until you get a knockout. That's what people don't understand. Boxing, it's not you fight until you get a knockout. Rounds is a time length. Whether it's 4 rounds, whether it's 6 rounds, whether it's 7 rounds. You train the fighter to fight rounds. That's why they call it conditioning. Because you're supposed to be conditioned to go the distance of however long the fight is supposed to last. I mean, because if boxing was strictly based off knockouts, for real, you would see if boxing was based off knockouts, then you seeing people. You might see people fight 2-3 hours in the ring. It's called a boxing match, not a fight, really. That's why they call it a boxing match, because it's about boxing. But yeah, man, Rolly is my homie. But when I see him, I'm gonna eventually see him. And if he asks me what I thought of the fight, I'm gonna just tell him like a man. I'm gonna say I thought you lost the fight. And I think there's some things that you can improve on. There's a lot of things he can improve on. I don't think it's like I don't think it's like over for him. I don't want to go as far as to say he got exposed, but I'll say he didn't look good in that fight, and there's things he could do. Nah, he wasn't using it. He wasn't trying to use that shoulder roll. I think he did that shit, I think, in one round. Like, people got to understand that Philly shell and that shoulder roll is not the easiest thing. It ain't easy to use that. And that don't work for every style neither. And you can't use the shoulder roll in every fight neither. Because this misconception about Floyd, like, constantly using the shoulder roll, like, throughout his fights, that's not accurate. Because Floyd will use the shoulder roll, like, when he in the middle of the ring, and then when he trying to press people, when he trying to walk them down, he go to the high guard. So that's the problem. That shoulder roll shit ain't something that you can execute throughout a fight. Cause like I said, watch Floyd fight. He don't use the shoulder roll like from beginning to end. He use it periodically. Cause like I said, when Floyd is trying to go in, he used the high guard. Look at this fight with Canelo. Floyd wasn't hardly using that shoulder roll. Yeah. Floyd in the Canelo fight was using mostly the high guard. So he could counter Canelo with those. So he could counter Canelo's with those straight rights and those hooks and those checks. Yeah, that's a misconception. It's about Floyd using the shoulder roll throughout the fight. It's the same as when people say that it's the same as when you get these morons that say that he run throughout the fight. That's the same as when they say he be running. Because I'm still waiting for somebody to tell me, where do it say in boxing you supposed to sit there and stand in front of a dude and let them hit you? It's your job to figure out how to cut off the ring if you got an elusive fighter. It's your job to figure out how to walk the dude down, cut off the ring. It's not the fighter's job to stay in front of you. And then I knew when Rolly used that excuse, I was like, man, come on, man. What's up? So, all right, let me talk about David Benavidez right quick before I get up out of here. With the exception of David Benavidez, like, losing his belt, well, basically on the scale, like, he looked really good in that fight. Ain't no denying that. Without him losing his belt on the scale, David Benavidez, he looked really good. He fought as close as one of the perfect offensive fights I ever seen somebody fight. And like I said, it always come down to the dude that you fight as well. I understand that. But he looked good in that fight. And I know a lot of people, and I'm going to make this quick. I know a lot of people came down on David Benavidez because he couldn't make weight. And, he lost his belt on the scale. But I think he'll be fine. David Benavidez. What you got to understand is David Benavidez is tall. Like, I know he's listed as 6'2", but he might be actually 6'3". David Benavidez is tall. What up? Oh yeah, it's cool. It's cool. Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, David Benavidez is real tall. And like I said, I didn't stood next to him. I didn't like interviewed him several times. David Benavidez is probably about 6'3". And keep in mind, at one time he weighed like 260 pounds. I think this could be the telltale sign that David Benavidez don't have much time at 168. We'll know the next time he tries to fight, because I know Abner Mares kind of like got on him. He said, well, you know, everybody else made weight. Why didn't he make weight? Oh yeah, because I heard he weighed well into his 200s, like before he had his growth spurt. So that's what I'm saying, man. Like, if it happens again, then you kind of gonna know that, okay, maybe he too big for 168. But he's 6'2", 6'3". I appreciate that. I just think we gotta understand this COVID shit was a game changer. And I know people say, well, everybody else made weight and he didn't, but you gotta understand, your body is your body. Okay? His body is different from everybody else's. It's easy for somebody to say, well, I could lose like 5 pounds in a week, but that don't mean somebody else could do it. It come down to your metabolism. It come down to your, it just come down to everything. Bone structure. Bloodstream, everything on how you lose weight, how you gain weight. So I'm buying the excuse that, hey, I couldn't get to a steam room. And from what they said, they cut off access to steam rooms and everything. And he was just like, okay, I get it. Now, did that put the Caleb Plant fight at risk? Yeah, absolutely. Because if he goes into a fight with Caleb Plant, it's not going to be for a title. I mean, it'll just be what you would call a prize fight. It'll be for money, but won't nothing be on the line except Caleb Plant's undefeated record versus his undefeated record. And I mean, why don't the WBC, since he won the fight, why don't the WBC give him a chance to get his belt back? Let him fight, you know what I'm saying? Let him fight an eliminator bout next time. Put it in the contract that he have to make. Yeah, Plant still got the IBF. Yeah, put it in the contract where he just have to, he had to pay the other dude. He had to pay Angulo money anyway. Let him fight for the vacant belt or fight an eliminator bout to get his belt back. All right, Mark. All I'm saying is let him fight for the vacant belt since it's vacant, and then give him a chance to get his belt back, and then you can make the Caleb Plant fight somewhere down the line. But he's a PBC fighter, so you already know the WBC ain't about to do Al Heyman no favors, which they should, because I'm trying to think. They gave Canelo a lot of leeway. They gave Canelo a lot of leeway. So that's all I'm saying with the WBC. Let him get a chance to get his belt back. Let him fight an eliminator bout or let him fight for the vacant belt, and then let him fight the number one contender for the WBC, or or the WBC can find somebody for him to fight, and then give him a chance to get his belt back. That's just real talk. But anyway, I'll be back, y'all. Thanks for tuning in.